This is my first video update coming to you from Limassol, Cyprus on this Sunday morning. Let's talk about some news. And I was actually thinking for this video that I would go through some of the situation in Soledar and Bakhmut and kind of highlight the villages and area that has been taken by the Russian military and the Wagner group. But I decided not to. I think you can get that information, more detailed information as to what is going on the ground in Soledar and Bakhmut from all kinds of other channels. Alexander does a great report on the military situation in Ukraine. Brian Berletic of the New Atlas does a great job on detailing the military situation in Ukraine. And then you have all of the mapping channels like Theta Mapping and Defense Politics Asia, and they go into all the details as to which villages are going where and which areas are moving towards which side. So just the basic summary of everything that is going on in Soledar and in Bakhmut is that the Ukraine defensive lines, they are crumbling. They are starting to fall apart. And for this, I will read a tweet from a Bild reporter, a German publication called Bild, Julian Rupke, and he's super pro-Ukrainian, like pro-Zelensky to the absolute max. And he said this in a tweet: "Situation in Soledar is terrible. Russians captured more than half of the town and are encircling what is left. At the same time, Ukraine needs a massive counteroffensive here or it's lost, which would likely result in a domino effect and more areas lost soon." So you're looking at a situation similar to Mariupol, maybe even worse. And this journalist from Bild is saying what a lot of neocons are saying, NATO neocons are saying right now at the moment, which is in Soledar, where the Russian military has moved into the city center, and in Bakhmut, where village after village is collapsing and Russia continues to grind down the Ukraine military in Bakhmut. All the neocons, all the NATO guys, all the collective West journalists that are pro-neocon are saying, look, we either have to get a boatload of weapons in, like all the weapons that NATO has, all the weapons that Europe has, so we have to get them in, and we have to mount a massive counteroffensive, or else not only will Soledar be lost, Bakhmut will be lost, and then a domino effect will occur, leading to all of the Donbass crumbling. And so Zelensky is left once again with a decision. And he has been faced with this decision on multiple times in relation to Bakhmut and the Bakhmut area. Do you continue to send reinforcements into Bakhmut and into Soledar to try and hold that position in the hopes that you're going to get this massive lifeline, this support, weapons, all of these things from the collective West, perhaps even collective West NATO troops in that area? Perhaps Zelensky's hoping for this as well. I'm sure there are already NATO forces fighting in Bakhmut under the guise of being part of the Ukraine military or as being mercenaries. Look at this building. What an eyesore that is. Man, that looks like something out of a sci-fi horror film. Sci-fi horror picture. Then we have the icon, this building right here. Wow. So yeah, he either has to try to pour in more reinforcements and hope for that lifeline, the massive support that this Bild journalist is talking about and perhaps getting this big counteroffensive, because Ukraine doesn't have the troops for a counteroffensive. The best they can do is just try to hold on just a little bit longer, which is what they've been doing over the past, say, 3 months in Bakhmut and in the Bakhmut region. They've been pouring more and more reinforcements instead of retreating to a better defensive line, saving the lives of the Ukraine military, preserving the Ukraine fighting forces. Zelensky's done the opposite, and he's poured more and more reinforcements into Bakhmut, where they have been ground down by the Russian military. So is Zelensky going to do the same now? Is he going to pour more reinforcements into Soledar, into Bakhmut, into this region in order to hold on just a little bit longer on the hope that he's going to get some sort of massive support from the collective West, whatever that may be? Or is he going to finally retreat from this area and save whatever fighting force he has left there and retreat back to a more secure position? Is he going to finally pull out of Bakhmut? Because the reason that he held on for so long in Bakhmut and why he kept on pouring reinforcements into that area is because the collective West would not let him retreat. They would not let the Ukraine command leave Bakhmut, even though 3 months ago that would have been the correct thing to do. But they wouldn't allow that to happen because they had to get their Bakhmut signature flag presented to Nancy Pelosi in the Congress. That is why. They had to create the whole narrative of the Bakhmut military standing their ground, the Ukraine military in Bakhmut standing their ground, and they sign a flag to honor Nancy Pelosi and Kamala Harris. That was why they just kept on pouring more and more reinforcements into what the collective West has called the Bakhmut meat grinder. Well, Zelensky made his speech. He presented his flag. They got the media PR optics that they were looking for. Is it now time for Zelensky to finally retreat and just let the dominoes fall? Perhaps save the lives of Ukraine soldiers that are getting annihilated by the Russian military? Or is the collective West and NATO going to say, no, Zelensky, we need you to hold on to Bakhmut just a little bit longer. So let's move in reinforcements from Kharkiv, from the south, wherever you can find them. Let's just get reinforcements in there to hold out just a little bit longer. And there are rumors, I can't confirm this, I'm getting a lot of reports that Zelensky is moving in reinforcements from Kharkiv, from the Kherson area, from the south, to try and stabilize Soledar and Bakhmut. And you know why they're going to tell him to hold on a little bit longer? Because the neocons are going to say, Zelensky, hold on just a little bit longer, because if you pull out now, well, then you're going to shake the confidence of our European partners. And you don't want them to start to doubt Project Ukraine, do you? They'll figure out an excuse to push Zelensky and the Ukraine military command to hold on a little bit longer and to pour more reinforcements into that area. The right thing to do is to get out. That is the right thing to do. But we'll see if they do that. We will see. So that's the situation in Soledar, in Bakhmut. It is not going well for NATO, for the collective West, for the Ukraine military, for Zelensky. We had the neocons. They trotted out Condoleezza Rice and Robert Gates. Remember those two? Condoleezza Rice was Secretary of State under George W. and Robert Gates was the Defense Secretary. Well, they got those two to write an op-ed in the Washington Post, the Jeff Bezos owned CIA neocon WaPo, and they wrote an article saying that Zelensky needs to hold his ground. He just needs more weapons. Things are looking bad, they said. Things are looking really bad, like catastrophic. They said it's looking bad for the Ukraine economy. It looks bad for the Ukraine military. But if we just get more weapons into Ukraine, then everything's going to work out. But we need all the weapons, they said. We need all of the weapons that we can get. Not American weapons, they said, because American weapons aren't going to really work out so well in Ukraine. But Condoleezza Rice and Gates, they said, let's just get all of the European weapons in there. So Europe, give up everything you have, including those Leopard. You got to give up those Leopard tanks. A lot of discussion about those Leopard tanks. But let me find it here. Condoleezza Rice and Robert Gates said, Ukraine is running out of time. Ukraine's economy is in shambles, according to Rice and Gates. The country's military capability and economy are now dependent almost entirely on lifelines from the West. Yes, it is. They argued that should Ukraine fail to mount a successful offensive in the near future, President Zelensky will be pressured by the West to negotiate a ceasefire with Russian President Putin, something the Ukraine leader has repeatedly refused to consider. Rice and Gates advocate for sending Ukraine more and heavier weapons, they say. Although the U.S. has already allocated more than $110 billion in military and economic aid to Ukraine since February, they said that Washington won't send heavy tanks. Germany and other allies should fill this need instead, they argued. Send those Leopards. Send in those Leopards. Brian at the New Atlas, I think he's done a half dozen videos explaining why the heavy weapons, why all of these weapons are not going to make a difference, but why the heavy weapons, especially the heavy tanks, are not going to do well at all in Ukraine, and why the Russians are just going to annihilate all of these weapons, which is what Russia has been saying. Russia has said, send in all the weapons that you want, NATO, United States. The only thing that you're doing is that you're just prolonging what is going to be an inevitable outcome, which is an inevitable Russian victory. You're just prolonging that. And when they mean you're prolonging it, it means that Ukraine and the Ukraine military is just going to suffer more losses. And collective West mercenaries and soldiers fighting in the uniform of Ukraine are just going to suffer more losses. But this is what Gates and Rice are calling on the collective West, NATO, and especially the EU to do, is to send everything you have, especially the EU. They want Europe to send everything they have to Ukraine, all the heavy weapons, all of it. Empty out all of your storage and just send it all to Ukraine, all your stockpiles. Bring them down to zero. The Wall Street Journal was running a report. Wow. Nice. This is the Icon building. Little blue gorilla. I was going to say a little blue gorilla, a big blue gorilla. So I don't understand what the blue gorilla has to do with Limassol or this building, but you know, interesting. Richard Orlinsky, born wild, 1966. Wow. Born wild. All right. I forgot what I was saying. Oh, yeah, there was an article on the Wall Street Journal, in the Wall Street Journal, talking about how Poland is going to be sending Leopard tanks to Ukraine. And then the Polish government, the Prime Minister of Poland, said, no, we're not. We're not going to empty out our Leopard tanks, our stockpiles of Leopard tanks to send to Ukraine until we see other countries doing it. And so there's this big discussion now in Germany about sending Leopards to Ukraine. We have some German opposition parties saying to Schultz, don't do it. Schultz is saying, I have to do it because my master's in the United States. And Annalena Baerbock, who rules over me. I wonder what Annalena has on Schultz to rule over him like that. What does she have over Schultz? Anyway, all these people are telling Schultz to do it, and Schultz is like, I have to do it. What can I do? They're telling me to do it. So I have to send the Leopards. I'm being ordered to. But there's this big conversation now taking place in Germany about sending Leopards or not. Poland said they're not going to do it until they see other countries sending the Leopards. And this is basically the situation now. No country in Europe wants to send their Leopards over to Ukraine until they see some other countries jumping in. Once they see some other countries jumping in and emptying out their Leopard tank stockpiles, if that's what you call it, then no country is ready to take the plunge, to be the first to do it. So they're all waiting there. They're all sitting at the table waiting to see who's going to do it first. It's going to be Germany. Is Germany going to be the first to send the tanks, the Leopards? Macron is sitting there saying, I already sent light tanks. Macron is saying, I've already done my part. I sent the light tanks. Now it's your guys' turn. Meanwhile, you have like Newland breathing down their necks saying, send tanks, send Leopards now or else. Oh, boy. So, yeah, Condoleezza Rice, Robert Gates. They also said in this article that Russia is not going to be giving up the 4 new territories of Donetsk, Lugansk, Zaporozhye, and Kherson. They're not going to give that up. So they came to that revelation as well. This used to be a nightclub versus closed. All kinds of shops are closed in Limassol, like everywhere. Everything is just closed, it seems. But yet they're building these huge high rises, and no one knows who buys these apartments, but they're all sold out. No one lives in them, but they're all sold out. So strange. They buy them to get like the passports and stuff like that, the passport schemes, but no one lives in these buildings. They just buy them, they get their passports, the very wealthy class, and then they move on, but they don't leave anything in the economy. You see, closed down for rent, elite club. Okay, so that's the situation. I think everyone understands what's going on in Soledar, Bakhmut. It's going to fall. There is going to be no Ukraine counteroffensive, and whatever Zelensky sends in there is just going to get annihilated. It's time for the Ukraine military to retreat, pull back to a better defensive line, and end this insanity. But the neocons, they're going to push Zelensky to continue to hold on in Bakhmut so that they can continue to send weapons and continue to peddle false hope to the collective West population and continue their narratives of Ukraine is winning. Why does Ukraine need Leopard tanks if they seized something like 4,000 Russian tanks during the siege of Kiev? The siege of Kiev. They talked about the siege of Kiev and how Ukraine now has more tanks in its inventory than when they started this conflict. Why do they need the Leopards then? Why do they need those Leopards? Why do they need those Macron light tanks? They need all these tanks because Russia has annihilated all of the tanks that Ukraine had. There was no victory at the siege of Kiev. There was no Ukraine has more tanks now than when the war started. All of that was one big fat lie. And that is why the U.S. has sent $110 billion to Ukraine, and it's going to send a lot more. That is what the neocons want. And where did that $110 billion go? I'll tell you where it went. Into the pockets of oligarchs. It hit the black market. or it went right back into the pocket of US MIC companies and politicians and the usual players. That's where that 110 billion went. And now they're going to ask for another 110 billion more. We'll see what Kevin McCarthy does, but I don't think he'll put up much resistance because McCarthy, who's now Speaker of the House, he was also running around with a Ukrainian flag on his lapel. So I don't expect much from McCarthy. Let's do a clown world and we'll wrap this video up. And I'm going to head over to Costa, grab a coffee, and get this video published. But I'll do my clown world right over here, next to the Periptero kiosk. Next to the kiosk here. We'll do a clown world. Right in front of the ice cream images. Top Gun ice cream. Maxibon and Cool Zero, no added sugar. Lacta. All right. Anyone want some ice cream? Let's do a clown world here, and let's see, 2 clown worlds. We've got two clown worlds. The first one is a quote from Stoltenberg, if I can find it. Oh, by the way, Axios is running an article saying the U.S. no longer recognizes Guaido as Venezuela's president. Biden official confirms. Alensky, you better read this article from Axios because that's you. That is you. Yeah. Let's see, here we go. NATO Secretary General. Increasing cooperation between Russia and China threatens the world order established by Western countries. Quote, they are united because they want a different world order. The fact is that they do not share our values and are trying to defend interests that violate our faith in freedom and democracy, Stoltenberg said at a conference in Norway. This is Nobel-nominated NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg. How dare Russia and China work together? How dare they? How dare they resist NATO? How dare they join forces to prevent their countries from being annihilated by the collective West? How dare they? Man. China, Russia, how dare you do these things? You're supposed to just lie down and let the collective West just roll right through your country and destroy it and to just plunder and pillage it. Don't you guys know that? How dare you join forces and work together to prevent your country, your civilization, your culture from being destroyed? Oh boy, those values. They love those values, don't they? No one knows what those values are, but they sure love them. This is from the BBC, since we're talking about China. And this is a crazy clown world. The BBC has an article with the title, China-Taiwan, concern at repair of Taiwanese military device in China. You read that right. The Taiwanese military is sending their weapons to China for repair. This is according to the BBC. In something of a farce, it has emerged components of Taiwanese anti-ship missiles were sent to mainland China for repairs, known as Xiongfang 3. These missiles are a major element in Taiwan's arsenal to deter naval landings by the PLA, but use Swiss gyroscopes from Leica Geosystems. The oversight occurred as a result of Leica Geosystems, as a result of Leica sending them for repair in China instead of Switzerland itself as planned. Adding to the irony, it is alleged that this was only noticed by Taiwanese authorities after their return by tracing the send location to a facility in Shandong in the PRC. Oh, wow. That is hilarious, man. Cloud World never fails to disappoint. let's wrap up this video. Everyone, I've got a story here saying that that Raytheon has just signed a $208 million deal with Romania for coastal anti-ship missiles. So Romania is going to be buying 208 million worth of Raytheon anti-ship missiles. It was awarded a 208.7 million fixed price contract for the Naval Strike Missile Coastal Defense System for the Republic of Romania, according to a Raytheon press release. So is Romania going to be paying for these missiles to Raytheon, or is the U.S. going to be giving the money to Romania, and Romania is going to be giving the money to Raytheon? Or can the U.S. government just give the money right away to Raytheon and then give the missiles to Romania? How does this work exactly? All right, I'm going to end it there. theduran.locals.com. We are also on Rockfin as well. And go to the Duran shop. I am wearing double Duran Day, Duran t-shirt, Duran hoodie, 10% off. Use the code GOODDAY. And by the way, a final story that I just thought I would get out to everybody is that the Christmas truce that has collapsed, the collective West is blaming Putin for its collapse, even though it was only Russia that decided to have a Christmas truce. And now the collective West is upset that, according to them, Russia says they honor the truce. The collective West says the Russian military did not honor the truce. But the collective West is very upset that, according to them, the Russian military did not honor President Putin's Christmas truce, a unilateral truce, which the collective West rejected. But they still blame Putin. They rejected the truce, but they blame Putin because the truce didn't hold. Just blame Russia, everybody. Anyway, that's the video. I'm out of here. I'm going to grab a coffee. Look for Alexander's channel. Look for the Duran's channel. We are on all the platforms: Telegram, Rumble, ODYSEE, BitChute, and everything else. And hit the like button. And if you really like this channel, subscribe. If you don't like this channel, don't subscribe. Get a haircut instead. Don't subscribe to the channel. Get a haircut. There's even a telephone number. All right, take care.